This is my A2 Media documentary feedback. In this, we pitted the binary opposites of the audience agreeing with our topic being beneficial and also the audience disagreeing with our topic being beneficial. From the people who have watched our documentary, we have found out that the binary opposites is really students versus teachers, as the bulk of these different groups have the same opinion on whether homework is actually beneficial or not to students in terms of understanding and further exam success. We wanted to have an active audience who used the text and wasn't used by it in order for them to be able to make their own decision. In terms of the uses and gratifications model, we adhered to informing our audience and comparing relationships and lifestyles with one's own. Stuart Hall, 1973, suggested that texts were encoded by the producers of text to contain certain meanings related to the social cultural background of the text producer. Our preferred reading was that we had an unbiased outlook on the opinion, even though this is one which we feel strongly about as we are members of our own primary audience. Stewart et al. Said, "Far from being turned into zombies, it has grown increasingly clear that audiences are in fact capable of a high degree of self-determination in the nature of the response that they make to products offered to them. The meaning of our text is dynamic, not fixed, and the audience themselves help to create meaning for our piece. The fact that our audience is in control of the media helps them with learning and also their personal and social identity." For our A2 Media documentary, we created a documentary which is based on homework and the amount of stress and whether that stress is actually necessary for students to attain good grades in exams.
Those amendments of rushing home after you finish for the day begs the question, is homework really necessary, or is it just an extra stress?
Do you think narration worked well instead of a presenter? If not, why?
Yeah, because it meant that you could have like different clips put on top of the voiceover rather than having to make time for the presenter to be there.
I think narration worked well instead of a presenter. If not, why?
Yeah, it did work well.
Over 75% of our audience thought that narration worked better than a presenter in our documentary.
56% of the students in the study said that homework was their main source of stress outside the classroom.
Licensed psychotherapist Talia Filippelli says depression, anxiety, moodiness, nervousness, stomach aches, headaches, exhaustion are the most common effects of school stress. And one of the best ways parents can help, manage their own stress levels.
We have student development officers.
One thing that we learned was that our audience liked the combination of external facts and statistics and archival footage, as this was able to give them a more in-depth knowledge of the topic that our documentary was about. Ferdinand de Saussure was quoted as saying, "A linguistic system is a series of differences of sound combined with a series of differences of ideas." This was the belief that there is a structure in all things, that items follow specific patterns. The fact that our documentary followed a linear pattern and has a clear beginning, middle and end means that because our documentary evinces modes and types which are familiar to our audience, it appears much more realistic to our audience as it follows a consistent theme of what they have seen before.
What's the purpose of homework?
I think the purpose of homework is just so that you don't forget everything you do.
Our Vox Pops were also very successful as we adhered to the uses and gratifications model in the sense that the characters which were presented on screen were relatable, and our primary audience were able to self-identify with these students, as the students' experiences could relate to the audience's own lives and own experiences.
With a lot of students having different ideas on what the purpose of homework is, we asked Principal Paul Ashdown his views of the purpose of homework.
I think by the time you get to sixth form, the specifications for the courses students are involved in contain so much that there's no way you can do everything you need to do in lesson time in college.
The audience also liked our experts, as especially in the case of Paul Ashdown, the principal of the sixth form, he was able to put across his own opinion that has been backed up by over 20 years in the education profession, with more than half of those being spread across multiple schools and colleges as a principal. Our documentary had the purpose to inform our audience, and by including this expert opinion and also the expert opinion of Julie Maitland. What was your favourite part about the documentary and why?
Probably the interview with Paul Ashdown. It probably gave you don't really see him around much, so he gives a more expert and kind of view.
What was your favourite product and why?
Probably the documentary because it had a lot of information in.
What was interesting about the documentary?
I think they had like quite a lot of interesting statistics, and I liked the little like insert of the archival footage of the Pokemon little.
Which was your least favourite product and why?
I'd probably go for the documentary because it didn't have lots of music in it, to be honest.
Was the theme of education conveyed well, and if so, how successful was this?
Yeah, you like talked about loads of different aspects of education, like homework.
We also had the opinion of Dr. Garabos Jayalakshmi, Associate Head of School for Media at the University of South Wales, as part of a masterclass. She gave us the viewpoint of our secondary audience of parents for our documentary, saying that she thought it was extremely worthy, in the sense that we didn't seem as if we enjoyed the topic that we chose. She gave us little pointers that in hindsight we could have improved upon in order to make our documentary more viable for our secondary audience. However, she did say that she liked the opening sequence of our documentary, as this instantly caught her attention, and she also liked the minimal use of facts and stats within our documentary, as whilst we still had them in there, they were not the focus of our documentary and were often accompanied by archival footage to make them seem more exciting as such. Does the page spread look professional, and if so, anything in particular?
I think you could have made the font a bit more professional.
The page spread looks professional.
Yeah, the background with the whole school and it's professional, and the way it's all laid out with all the text and the masthead.
In terms of our magazine double page spread, we had extremely mixed feedback. This was definitely not one of the favourite products of our audience, with only 8% of our audience citing this as their favourite product, and 33% of the audience saying it was their least favourite product. However, we did manage to create something that looked professional, as 83% of our audience did say that our double page spread looked professional. The main feedback in terms of how we could have improved our DPS was that a lot of our audience thought that the font we used was not typical of a TV listings magazine. Also, through our audience feedback, we know that borders could have been put around our photos to make them stand out more and separate them from the text. A background could have also been implemented to make it look more professional, as there is a lot of dead space which has not been taken up and looks blank. This is something which in hindsight we could have done to make it look more like a real life product. We also produced a radio advertisement for our documentary, which would appear on Heart FM to make people listen to it. Our primary audience would probably be parents and students, because it's quite a broad topic.
How much homework is actually enough?
1 hour per subject.
Like half an hour for each subject.
On Monday at 9 PM, tune into Channel 4 as they present their exclusive homework documentary featuring the thoughts of experts and students backed by facts and statistics.
You need to put a lot of time into homework to get the top grades that you're capable of.
Is homework really necessary? Make your decision. Monday, Channel 4, 9 PM. Class dismissed.
Was the theme of education conveyed well, and if so, how successful was this?
Yeah, because like you did the school bell on your radio advert, and like you did it in like a college environment as well.
The results for our radio advertisement were clearer, however, and we could tell that this wasn't something that would really catch the attention of part of our primary audience of students. We thought that Heart FM was a more viable radio station to present this advertisement on, as it had a much wider demographic in terms of its listeners, in comparison to other available stations such as Capital FM or Radio 1. 59% of our audience fed back to us that this was their least favourite product, whereas 38% said it was their favourite. 85% of our audience said that our radio advertisement would make them watch our documentary. The most common opinions was that the music used wasn't something which caught the attention of the audience, but a lot of feedback received told us that there wasn't enough information and that our radio advertisement should have been longer than 30 seconds, so we could give more of the insight into the topic and why this is something that different groups of people, more specifically age and level of education, disagree on in terms of whether homework actually is beneficial to a student. One thing that was extremely positive about our radio advertisement through our feedback was that our audience thought the sound effects such as the school bell ringing were really effective in attracting their attention, as they wasn't expecting this, and this is something which we implemented in order to maintain a consistent link for our main product and ancillary products. Also, our audience liked the humorous ending that we had when the voiceover says "class dismissed." We thought that this would be something which would make our audience laugh and therefore stay in their head.